If I could have your attention here just briefly. Can everyone hear me okay? How's the sound? A little bit louder? Test. Oh, there we go. We need to raise the microphone here a little bit. We'll get to that in a bit here, but I just wanted to let everyone know. First of all, my name is Will Goodon. I'm going to be your MC today, and it's 10 to 11. We're going to be having a flyby. The Canadian Air Force is going to be flying over top of us to salute our veterans in 10 minutes. So if you want to start making your way outside, that would be fantastic. Don't push any of the elders out of the way. I'd appreciate that. You know, one of the things I was going to comment on while you're doing this is we have a little bit of a strange mix today. We have military folks and we have Métis folks. The military folks are punctual. The Métis are not. So we're going to actually ask that we follow the lead of, oh yeah, me too, of our veterans and the ones who are still serving today. So if we want to go outside, I think there's going to be some help with some folks who are going to direct us to good places to view the flyby. So if you want to start doing that now, that would be much appreciated because they are coming at 11 and then they have a couple of other events that they're doing. So if we miss them, we miss them. So let's make our way outside. Thank you. I am. Yeah.
It is.
Sounds good. Seems like everyone's out here.
Wait, I'm turning around. North is which way?
going this way, and then it's going to. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's okay.
getting close. Thank you so much. Well, thank you very much for your punctuality. We're actually 5 minutes ahead of time after your good behavior, I would suggest. Once again, my name is Will Goodon. I will be your MC for today. We want to say welcome to, of course, all of our elders. One of the things that we always do is say thank you and welcome to our veterans, and today that's obviously very appropriate. Welcome to our community leaders. We'll be introducing everyone in a little bit, and of course our MMF government and our Veterans Department for all the work that they've done. We have Melissa St. Godard and John Dietrich on stage here, and they're going to be playing the national anthem, but if you can, before that, we have the entry of the color party, which will be followed by the national anthem. And if you can stand, please do for the entrance of the color party. Everyone, and you may be seated at this time. Again, I want to say thank you. Welcome to everyone for attending the Manitoba Métis Federation's Indigenous Veterans Day ceremony. We're gathered here today at the beautiful Portage La Prairie Legion Branch number 65. We want to say thank you for our spectacular hosts, and we're here to honor our Red River Métis veterans. They have always bravely stepped up to fight for what's right and to keep not only Canada, but our Red River Métis homeland safe. My name is Will Goodon. I'm the Minister of Housing and Property Management for the MMF. Sometimes I do double duty as Master of Ceremonies, and that's where I am here today. Don't mind the microphone. We're trying to make sure that everybody can hear us here. Before we begin, I definitely want to say thank you, a big, huge thank you to the president of Portage la Prairie Legion, Lynn Payette. Thank you so much for opening your facility for us for this event so that we can honor our veterans and all veterans. Thank you to Bob Olford and, of course, all the rest of the staff here at Branch 65 for helping our team organize today's ceremony. I'd like to recognize a few special guests who are here with us today. And I apologize if I overlook someone. I'm not wearing glasses today, so my apologies. From our MMF cabinet, we have Minister and Veteran Andrew Carrier. Oh, he's doing something in the back. Minister and Veteran John Fleury. Minister Judy Mayer. Minister David Bowden. Minister Joanne Remillard. Minister and Infinity Women's Secretariat spokeswoman Anita Campbell. Minister Denise Thomas. And of course, yours and my MMF President, David Chartrand. Did I miss somebody? Oh, myself? Oh, everybody knows who I am. From Canadian Armed Forces 17 Wing, Master Warrant Officer Patricia Bell. And Lieutenant Colonel Joe Dubrow. From the Portage la Prairie RCMP Detachment Commander, Staff Sergeant Zane Zamaniuk. Representing the government of Manitoba, on behalf of Premier Wab Kinew, Robert Loisel, MLA for St. Boniface. Representing the Manitoba Conservative Party, on behalf of Interim Leader Wayne Owasco, Jeff Bariza, MLA for Portage la Prairie. From the beautiful city of Portage la Prairie, Her Worship Mayor Sherilyn Knox. Representing Veterans Affairs Canada, Clarista Cenerini. Sorry, Clarista. Representing the Royal Canadian Legion, Vice President Gail Conrad Davey of the Royal Canadian Legion Manitoba and the Northwest Ontario Provincial Command. And representing Portage la Prairie Legion number 65, President Lynn Payette. On behalf of the Hong Kong Veterans Commemorative Association, Angeline Delorme Stoico. MMF Portage la Prairie Local Chairperson, Wes Hanna. And I would also like to acknowledge our color party, led by Métis veteran Joseph Courchain, Red River Métis Youth Piper Corporal Alexina Nault, and veterans Joe McNabb, Bob Olford, Dave LaSalle, Ed Miller, and Bruce Cook. And of course, to all the veterans who are here today and families of veterans here today, we want to acknowledge you, and I think you need that round of applause as well. This year marks the 30th anniversary of the province of Manitoba's recognition of National Indigenous Veterans Day. It was celebrated in Winnipeg for the first time on November 8th, 1994. Over the years, I've heard many people question why Indigenous Veterans Day exists. To be clear, Indigenous Veterans Day is not a second Remembrance Day. It was not intended to duplicate the formal routine of Remembrance Day. It was created to give Métis, First Nations, and Inuit peoples a space to celebrate and express our gratitude for our Indigenous veterans in our own cultural way. It was created to help revitalize our veterans' pride for their identities by showing them how much they are appreciated by our communities. Today's ceremony is our Métis way, our Red River Métis way of doing just that. We'll be celebrating our Red River Métis veterans by filling this room with the beautiful sounds of Melissa St. Godard's fiddle, Corporal Alexina Nault's bagpipes, and we will also be hosting a reception after the ceremony, which will feature more performances from more talented Métis performers, including the Métis Prairie Steppers, the Sharp Sisters, as well as more from Melissa and John. And there will be a light lunch that has been graciously made by the Legion staff. We organized the post-ceremony entertainment to make today a joyous Métis celebration in honor of our Red River Métis veterans because, unfortunately, the unique experience of our veterans were often part of Canada's dark history of discrimination against our people. We celebrate Indigenous Veterans Day to honor the experiences of Métis soldiers who fought for our very existence during the Red River Resistance, our World War II Métis veterans who fought discrimination overseas, and every Métis veteran who has served in the Canadian Armed Forces since. For 150 years, our people have fought and served a country that didn't respect them and neglected them because of their Métis identity. Despite this, our people have continued to dedicate their lives to this country. We celebrate them today by showing them our utmost respect and helping them reignite their pride as Red River Métis people. Your presence here today shows our veterans that we'll always be there for them as they've always been there for us. At this time, I'd like to invite Melissa to perform the last post, after which, if you can stand, please continue standing if you're able to, for 2 minutes of silence to honor our veterans. After the 2 minutes of silence, this will be followed by the lament, played by Red River Métis Youth Corporal Alexina Nault, and then the Rouse by Melissa after that. Thank you. You may be seated. I would like to now invite Minister Andrew Carrier to come forward to read the Act of Remembrance, and Red River Métis Youth Aidan Tichborne to join him for the commitment to remember.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Will, on that. I'm going to say the Act of Remembrance first in French, followed by the English version. So please bear with me. L'acte de se souvenir. Ils ne viendront pas comme nous qui leur avons survécu. Ils ne connaîtront jamais l'orage ni le poids des années. Quand viendra l'heure de crépuscule et celle de l'aurore, nous nous souviendrons d'eux. Nous nous souviendrons de d'eux. Act of Remembrance. They shall grow not old, as we that are left to grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Commitment to remember. They were young, as we are young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge, amidst the winds of time, to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them.
We will remember them. Thank you very much, Minister Carrier and Aidan. That was very wonderfully done. It's an honor now for me to invite our elder, Verna de Montney, to the stage to lead us in prayer. And again, if you can stand, please do.
Bon matin. Merci ki kwetchmitek utach betutayan anosh. Peam hayan por lisalda kakinon nekechek dalier. Thank you for the invitation to come and be the honor of saying the opening prayer for our veterans today. I never really know what is going to come from my heart to pray, but I always have a paper for assurance, I guess. So with that, I'll say it in my language and then I'll translate into English. Marsili buju and Beljoni kimi yak utachnakshkato yak chimamawi to yak Marsi chita yak o kokekaki not kechek dali the air Kena not mood kakimisha chikakyo porkianan chiap chata yak libima Marsigetananik, Aquanikik, Kakyogi Megawak, Bujumina, Kakwechmitina prayer, and kick, Kayaka Kipeki Wechik, Kiamitimik, Kwayeshtina Pachik, Polota, Pienkika Kipeki Wechik, Kikakwechmitin Buju, a prayer, Kikehik, Pilofamimina, Kwayesh, Otachi. Hayachik, Dalirvi, Kikehik, Piminawichik, and Kikiapich Kayachik, Kapichkan Notnikechik, Borkianan, Chayaya Kuma Libarma, Quantikmina, Shokihik, Likorajmiyik, Pimina, Wichihik, the Bosati Chayachik, Kamake Quechwitin Butcher, O Takashini Poyak, Kakiolivie Pilivio Takayachik, Shikatawik, Chamiayachik, Wishtawau, Pikakela from me, Chimiayachik Mina. Lord, our Creator, I stand before you as we all stand before you, gathered here to honor our veterans who gave so willingly for us to have our freedom that we have today. Thank you for the beautiful day that you gave us. Today we honor our veterans who went and gave willingly. We honor them today and we give our respects to them. Lord, I pray humbly for those that didn't come home. You give them eternal rest. For those that did come home, wounded, back to their families, help them so that they can heal. Guide them with their families so that they can have and enjoy the freedoms that they fought so hard for. And those that are still there, help them, give them courage, give them the strength. But also, Lord, give them good health so that they may come back home to us. Lord, I always pray that our elders who are here in this community and outside our community, bless them. But bless also all of us that are here who are honoring and giving our respects. With that, Lord, I say thank you. Amen. Merci.
Thank you so much, Elder Verna. It's great to see you again. I want to welcome back up to the stage. Oh, you can sit down if you so desire. My apologies. I was emceeing an event. It was our assembly, I think, 2-3 weeks ago, and apparently I made a couple of mistakes, and I wasn't sure if that was true or not, but I guess it happens once in a while. I want to welcome Minister Carrier and Aidan up to the podium once again to recite Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae's poem that inspired the use of the poppy as the national symbol of Canadian remembrance in Flanders Fields. Following the poem, Minister Carrier will provide remarks on behalf of Minister Sean Nault and the Red River Métis Veterans Department. Aidan, Minister.
In Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place up in the sky. The larks still singing bravely fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. And now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
Thank you very much, Hayden, for that. Good morning. My name is Andrew Carrier. I'm a proud Red River Métis veteran and a member of your Manitoba Métis Federation Cabinet. As minister, I oversee multiple portfolios, including the Red River Métis Community Resource Department, residential and day schools, as well as French and Michif language protection. I'm also the vice president of the Winnipeg region, and I'm a proud member of the Métis Veterans Working Group. The minister responsible for Red River Métis Veterans, veteran himself, Sean Nault, sends his regrets for not being able to be here with us today. He is representing the Manitoba Métis Federation and the pride of our people for our Red River Métis veterans who have served in Cyprus at the 60th anniversary of the United Nations Peacekeeping Mission, as well as the 50th anniversary of Canadian involvement in protecting Cyprus from the Turkish invasion in 1974. Although Minister Nault wishes he could be here with his fellow Red River Métis veterans, he is honored to represent our nation's gratitude for the Métis veterans who served in Cyprus on the international stage. In his absence, I am honored to bring remarks on behalf of the Red River Métis Veterans Department. 2024 marks Manitoba's 30th year celebrating Indigenous Veterans Day on November 8th. Indigenous Veterans Day began as a day dedicated to recognizing the experiences that are unique to our Indigenous veterans and listening to their stories. It was created to foster a space where we could honor our veterans, community, and our kin in our traditional ways. Today, we show our gratitude for their sacrifices and the treatment they faced before, during, and after their service to our country and our Red River Métis community. Indigenous Veterans Day gives our people an opportunity to come together to formally thank our Red River Métis family members who serve and celebrate their strength as Métis people, something that our servicemen and women often face discrimination for in and outside their military lives. Strength, resiliency, and pride are at the heart of our nation and are essential in how we honor our Métis veterans. Time and time again, our veterans showed their Métis strength worldwide, fighting for the freedoms of people they did not know on unfamiliar battlefields. Despite putting their lives in the line for our country, when our Métis veterans returned, Canada refused to treat them with the dignity and respect they deserve. Yet, our Métis veterans pushed through. They rebuilt their lives, raised their families, and laid the foundation of our thriving Red River Métis community that proudly exists today. President Charton has always stood up for our Métis veterans, reassuring our people and the country that these are our heroes today, tomorrow, and forever. As a veteran, not a day has gone by that I have not reflected on my service in the Navy. It impacted how I view the country and our people then and every day. In June, the Manitoba Métis Federation sent a delegation of veterans, youth, and governance leaders to France to represent the pride of our people at the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Normandy and the D-Day landings. There, we got to witness France's pride firsthand for Canadian veterans. After all, it was our ancestors who fought and died for the freedom and liberation of the French people from Nazi Germany in World War II. It made us all reflect on how we as Canadians do not express our pride and appreciation for our veterans enough. As we walk through the Canadian cemeteries in Normandy, row by row, our youth gained a new perspective of their ancestors' sacrifices as they noticed the ages of the soldiers to lay to rest beneath their feet. Many were just young men, no older than the youth standing before them. Our entire delegation returned home with a greater understanding of the duty and devastation our young Métis people and their families face to ensure that we can live peaceful lives we have today. I want to thank you all for being here to attend this year's Indigenous Veterans Day in the beautiful Southwest region, and to the Portage La Prairie Legion for all their hard work that made today possible. I also like to extend my thanks to the Portage La Prairie Local and its chair, Mr. Wes Hanna, for their support. I want to remind you that Indigenous Veterans Day is not meant to be a sober ceremony. Today, we thank our Red River Métis veterans for protecting our nation by being our loud and proud Métis selves. So in closing, to all the Indigenous veterans, acting serving members, and their families, We thank you from the bottom of our heart, and we promise to protect you as you protected us. Merci.
Well, there you have it. Our minister has given us permission to be loud and proud. I think that describes Red River Métis pretty well. At this time, it's my honor to welcome our Mayor Sherilyn Knox, to the podium to bring remarks on behalf of the City of Portage-la-Prairie. Let's welcome Mayor Knox.
Thank you, everyone. I'm absolutely humbled to be here, invited today to speak. Pleased that the Manitoba Métis Federation chose our city to hold this ceremony. Thanks to our local Legion, thanks to our local Federation, Métis Federation, for all you do for our community. I'm joined with a couple of my council colleagues. Deputy Mayor Farron Nichols and Councillor Colin Doyle are with me today. So as we come here today to honor Indigenous Veterans Day, an occasion for all of us to recognize the remarkable contributions of our Métis, First Nations, and Inuit veterans. These brave individuals have served our country with honor and courage, often facing more unique challenges along the way. As we reflect on their sacrifices, let's remember that the stories of these people are woven into the fabric of all of our communities. Each veteran has a unique journey, and their legacy enriches us all. As I've learned, with over 12,000 Indigenous people estimated to have participated in all 3 wars, each had a story, including the lives of over 300 lost during these conflicts. On behalf of our council in the City of Portage, I want to remind us all to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude and support for all Indigenous veterans and their families. Together, it's important, and we can ensure that their sacrifices and their stories are never forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Knox. As I was driving here today, I was reflecting, I think we all do, reflecting on our families, members who have served. I have had 5 uncles who served, but one that I was able to reach out to this past summer, because I was on the delegation that went to France, and we went to Vimy Ridge, a World War I Canadian memorial site. And I had an uncle, his name was Philip Godon, who served and is buried there. And I was able to visit his gravesite as well. It was, it was something to see, something to feel, that a part of our family, my family, is still in France. And we definitely, when we think about our family members, want to say thank you to all of them. It's now a privilege for me to ask Gail Conrad Davey from the Royal Canadian Legion Manitoba to provide remarks. She's the Vice President of the Royal Canadian Legion Manitoba and Northwest Ontario Provincial Command. Please help me welcome Gail Conrad Davey.
Might be easier if I hold it a little bit shorter than Will. Veterans, Presidents Chartrand and Payette, and thank you so much to the Red River Métis Veterans Department and Minister Sean Nault for inviting the Royal Canadian Legion to this service of remembrance honoring Red River Métis veterans. It is a privilege to represent Manitoba and Northwestern Ontario Command of the Royal Canadian Legion and bring warm greetings from our President, Ernie Tester. Yesterday, and this is the part of my speech I didn't write down or prepare, so please bear with me. Yesterday, I was a guest at a service at a Muslim school in Winnipeg, and it was a Remembrance Day service. And a young man, about grade 9 or 10, got up to talk about what Remembrance, to share some of his thoughts about what they had learned in school and what Remembrance meant to him. And he took off his poppy and he said, "This is more than a flower to me." And he broke down completely. But he wanted to carry on, and he recovered. And he said, "I can't thank Canadians enough for what they've done around the world. And I'm honored to be here to remember Canadian soldiers and people from Canada who have served." He said, "My country is war-torn, and they were the only people that helped us." So if you ever thought you weren't appreciated, it's good to speak to young people who do come from those war-torn countries, and they're very, very grateful to be now living in Canada in peace. We are here in recognition and remembrance of more than 200 years of service by the Métis communities. Métis communities have a military history spanning centuries in the formation of this country, including their integral role in the War of 1812. The Royal Canadian Legion acknowledges this military service from the Métis communities, and we extend our deep gratitude for your service. We are also pleased, and again, to thank Minister Nault and Jan at the Red River Métis Veterans Department for the new friendships and partnerships the Legion and the Red River Métis Veterans Department are forging. It is truly an honor. As the largest veteran organization in Canada, the Royal Canadian Legion remains committed to the tradition of remembrance and recognition of all veterans who served and continue to serve Canada. To me, personally, the most sacred part of today is the 2 minutes of silence when we remember our fallen with deep and abiding gratitude. Protecting the values we hold dear, democracy, freedom, and peace. Métis warriors fought in every major conflict in Canadian history. They are heroes of our military heritage. The Royal Canadian Legion is privileged to join the Red River Métis Veterans Department today in this service of remembrance. Thank you. Miigwech and Marcy.
Thank you so much, Gail, for those kind words and the story that makes it real for us when we hear those things on a daily basis, especially from the young people who I think are the ones who we have to ask to continue to never forget and to continue to remember. Very much want to welcome from Canadian Armed Forces, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Dubrow to the podium, and he's going to bring remarks on behalf of our Canadian Armed Forces. Please help me welcome Lieutenant Colonel Dubrow.
Good morning. President Chartrand, ministers, Mayor Knox and the City of Portage, members of the Royal Canadian Legion, and most importantly, veterans and your families. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for the invite for allowing us the opportunity just to speak here today. As we take a moment to officially recognize the service of the Red River Métis and that of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in defending freedoms that weren't always offered to them at the time. C'est très important que pendant que nous nous souvenons d'eux, qu'on reconnaisse aussi leur histoire. Et c'est une histoire unique de tous les autres Canadiens. During the First World War, the Red River Métis served with great distinction. Coming from a life of hardship here on the prairies in Western Canada, hunting, farming, they served a lot of distinction. They were known for their marksmanship, their stealth, and just an overall mental and physical toughness that served them well in the trenches in Western Europe. They served in all the major conflicts, those that resound within Canada, Vimy, Passchendaele, Ypres, all these locations, there was Métis serving. And yet, they were discriminated against in their own units, which goes contrary to those that have served. You want cohesion in your units, yet here we are discriminating against serving members while they're serving. That undermines our morale, that undermines our cohesion, and yet they fought on. Worse, when they came home, they weren't fully recognized for what they had done. Et tous ces impacts impactaient même pas eux-mêmes tout, mais aussi leur famille et leur communauté. Et avec tout cela, 21 ans après, plus tard, c'était leur fille et leur fils qui ont encore une fois enrôlé dans les forces armées à combattre encore une fois an evil force. Many units during the Second World War were formed out of the homeland of the Red River Métis, and they all served with distinction, and there is a unit from this area of the country that served in every memorable battle in Canadian history. The Winnipeg Grenadiers served in Hong Kong. The members that survived that battle then faced years, if they were lucky enough to survive, of horrendous treatment in prisoner of war camps in the East. We had the South Saskatchewan Regiment, as well as the Calgary Tanks, fighting at the Battle of Dieppe. As mentioned, 80 years ago, we had the Royal Winnipeg Rifles, the Fort Garry Horse, units out of Winnipeg, the only city to have 2 full units land in the initial waves of the Normandy invasions coming from this area. And the Métis served with all of them, and you should be very proud of that. We as Canadians are proud of what you've done. And all this came with sacrifice, and again, we didn't recognize them. They continue to serve today, throughout, from the end of the Second World War right through to today. NATO missions, UN missions, so numerous, I can't name them all here, I'd be here all day. And it's about time that we've actually taken this time to officially recognize them. But I would challenge all of you, especially those that aren't of the Métis identification, to remember not just during the month of November, but year-round, and help identify this and make sure that they mark their place in Canadian history and whole. Merci beaucoup, et have a good day.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel, for your fine remarks. And I think a lot of that history is something that for sure most Canadians don't know, but even most Métis don't understand the depth of the service of many of our people who served in Canada's armed forces. I'm very pleased to welcome up now my very good friend. He's also a minister. He's also a veteran. And he has been at the forefront of the fight to recognize our veterans. Please help me welcome Minister John Fleury.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Last night while I was having supper, I was sitting at the in Chicken Chef, and I noticed on their placemats that they had photocopies of clips from the Second World War. And it was all about Native or Métis veterans saying goodbye to their families. And the one thing that stood out to me when I was looking at those placards was the youthfulness in their faces when they left. It would be interesting to see the pictures of their faces when they came home. You know, battle-scarred, worn, and aged. How many years did they age in that short period of time they spent overseas? And I also had the privilege yesterday of being interviewed by APTN on the Hong Kong skirmish. And it was a learning experience for me as well. I did not realize that 2 battalions were sent over there. They were called C battalions, which is the lowest ranking that they could give the battalions, and it consisted primarily of First Nations and Métis veterans. So that in itself sent a message to the Indigenous peoples of Canada where you stood in that era at that time, what they thought of you, that you were not warranting a first-class battalion. But yet we were one of the fiercest fighters that joined the Canadian Armed Forces. And the Colonel mentioned it, the stealth, the snipers, the skills that we brought to the battlefield, which would have saved numerous lives, as well as a lot of our soldiers gave their lives. And why did they give their lives? To me, when I put the uniform on, I didn't put it on because I was Métis. I didn't put it on because I was young. I put it on because I wanted to ensure that someday, and I had none at that time, that my children and my grandchildren would be able to share and experience the rights and the privileges that we have today. And that's what going to war is all about. Keep tyranny from our shores. And we've been very successful in doing so. And I'm supposed to be up here bringing a greetings from the Southwest, so I'm going to go to my script speech now. But that was what I took from it. And you know, being a veteran, it was a great honor for me to serve in the Canadian Armed Forces. Yes, I suffered consequences of being Métis, being Indigenous. You know, I got passed over promotion because they gave it to a non-Indigenous person. And why? Because I was a few years older than that individual. It made no sense. It was an excuse, right? That's all it was. It was an excuse so that I didn't get it. But regardless, it didn't affect my performance because I still believed in Canada. I believed in defending the lands and the rights of our peoples and our citizens. So anyways, again, good morning, and I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of the guests. And first off, before I even get into that, thank you, Elder DeMontney, for the opening prayer this morning and for the beautiful music that was played here this morning by Ms. St. Godard and Johnny Dietrich. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Manitoba Métis Federation Red River Métis Veterans Department and the Legion Branch 65 for today's event. I would like to acknowledge any veterans and serving members from the past that gave their lives so that we could be here today and have this ceremony and recognize the participation and the efforts of the Indigenous veterans. Days such as today are a time to honor those who have served and sacrificed for our country, especially our Métis veterans. We must continue having commemorations, ensuring that our veterans' contributions are never forgotten. As a veteran myself, having served for 4.5 years in the military, I feel a personal connection to this event. In closing, I'd like to, again, thank the MMF, their staff, Legion Branch 65 for today, and please enjoy your time in the Southwest region. It is such a beautiful part of our province, the rolling hills, the rivers, the greenness. What a good place to hold this. You know, thank God I was in the Southwest this year. I had the privilege of being up in the Interlake last year for the event, and it's a beautiful country up there. But I guess basically what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter where you go in Manitoba. It's a wonderful place to live. Thank you all. Good.
Yes, I'll echo that. Manitoba, Canada is a fantastic place. But we are very proud of the Southwest region here as well. I'm honored to invite a good friend of mine to come up and speak at this time. Anita Campbell is not only a minister in the MMF cabinet, but she's also the spokeswoman of the Infinity Women's Secretariat, and she's going to bring some words on behalf of Infinity Women. Please help me welcome Minister Anita Campbell.
Good morning. I'm going to try to do multiple things this morning in terms of I have paper and I also have a phone. I think this is the first time. First, before I go into that, I'm going to almost pull what John pulled. I want to first of all thank our elder for our prayer. Thank you, Elder DeMonte, for that beautiful prayer that we had. I also want to recognize all the special guests that we have. The music was amazing. I also want to recognize, of course, Alexina for the bagpipe playing. I was actually telling her that I think, seen her last year at the museum, the Air Force Museum, Airplane Museum, by the airport, and I had goosebumps as she was playing the bagpipes. It was the first time that I had seen her, and it was the first time I've seen a female playing the bagpipes, and such a young female. And so I was really impressed, and I was wondering if we could give her a round of applause just for that. I also, of course, want to recognize our veterans and all that you've done, all you've given up, and all that you went through. It's emotional for me, and I don't even know why, because I can't imagine what you went through. Even just, I think it was John that said it was a short time, but I think it's any day or any hour that you've spent in that position, I think is too long. Any war is too long. And I think when I was trying to, and I think this is the first time that we got to recognize the women and their part and their support and what they did during those wars, and I think this is the first time. So I really want to thank the Minister, Nolt, and also the Red River Métis Veterans Department for the invitation to come here and bring greetings on behalf of Infinity Women's Secretariat. I want to recognize, of course, our President, David Chartrand, my colleagues, and all the members and everyone that's here today, and our special guests. I was trying to think of what I wanted to say this morning, and a lot of things went through my mind, because it's the first time I think that we're going to talk about what the role that the Métis women played. As I was reading, for several weeks now, I've been looking at different things, and I think the more that I read, the more information would come into my head. And I remember growing up as a kid, I think I was around 16, 17, I'd keep having these nightmares about being in, and I don't know if it was from a movie or whatever, but I kept having them, and it was like continuous, about being in some kind of war and running through a muddy field and just hearing all these bombs and everything going on. They lasted for quite a long time, and eventually I prayed more, and eventually they went away. But they still stick with me today. I could still see myself running through this field. And so every time that, and I can't even say that this day rolls around, or November 11th rolls around, or November rolls around, I keep a poppy in my car. I've done it for a long time. And every day I look at it, and I thank it. Part of because of what we get to do. And part of that is that we get to grow up safe. We get to grow up in mostly peaceful situations, but we get to grow up in not a war situation. And I don't think we're thankful enough for what our relatives went through, our families went through. And I don't think we're thankful enough for how we get to live in such a peaceful world today, not only in this country, but in your communities. And so for me, that's what today means to me. I know we're supposed to read. I'm supposed to read like John just read. And I know I'm supposed to read certain things, but for me, it's, I have a yellow flower that I bought for, and I was going to wear it today, and I forgot, that I bought for the Ukrainian war. And for me, there's still wars happening. And so it even means more today, this year, or all the last couple of years since the Ukrainian war has been going on, and then another war that's going on, that it means more today, this year for me, about how we live in this country and what we get to do in terms of not having to walk or wake up to, bombs and things going overhead. The news is trying to portray two different things, and they're giving you the wars that are happening currently, both in Gaza and also in Israel. So they're giving you the different versions, and I can't imagine. It's hard for me to watch those, and I don't know why. So when I looked at what the women played, especially the Métis women, there was talk about discrimination and racism that happened with the men. You can imagine how much worse it was for the women. And so when I was reading all these things and the names they were called, there was very little paragraphs about what the women did back home. And I remember growing up and watching this movie about men went to war, women stayed home, and they took over everything. They worked in manufacturing businesses. They took over, they did the jobs of the men while the men were gone. They took care of the families, they took care of the home, they took care of the community, they took care of everything while the men were gone. And then when the men came back, there was no reception for them either. But when the men came back, the women got let go, and then the men went to work. That's just how it was back then. Would it be that way today? I never want to find out. So the women stayed home and did all of that. And we are Métis people. We are a matriarch nation. Our women are our leaders. Our women take care of the families. They're really the decision makers. And I know some men won't like that, but they really are it's just the way it is. It's just the things that our brain works in that way. So I'm really proud to, one, be a Red River Métis woman, and two, to be able to bring some greetings on behalf of Infinity Women's Secretariat and all the work and all the effort and all the time and all the care and all the love that Métis women gave to not only their family, but to their community and to this country. I want to read something really quick because it's to this community. And it was a Métis woman veteran that was recognized in 2020. President Chartrand had recognized her in 2020. I just want to read a little bit about her because I'm not sure if some of you will know her. So her name was Phyllis Escott. And so her life, she was born in the municipality of Fisher Branch to George and Elizabeth Hyde. She was the middle child of 13 children. I came from a family of 12, so I can relate somewhat in terms of being that middle person. She was one of 5 siblings who enlisted to serve in the World War II. So 5 of her siblings had enlisted. In 1942, she enlisted the Canadian Women's Army Corps. The other trades that she had was a bookkeeper and a canteen operator, later becoming a physician's assistant. And in 1947, was stationed in Portage la Prairie Rehabilitation Hospital for Veterans and retired in 2012. So from 1947 to 2012, that's a long career. Her family, she was married to Wilton Slim, not Slim, Escott. Moved to Rivers, Manitoba to raise their 3 children. She's a proud sister. She was a proud sister, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and hometown hero. And she has a commemoration in a mural in Rivers, Manitoba. And President Chartrand had presented her and honored her on February 28th of 2020. And she had passed away on November 16th of 2020. And it's really interesting. I mean, she was 98 years old when she passed away. She was also one of the last living Métis women World War II veterans. And I think that was so significant because of her long life and all the contributions she had made as a World War II veteran. So I just wanted to recognize her and to bring her forward. I also wanted to recognize Wes Hanna from the chair for the Portage Local. Thank you for this. Also the Legion. I remember we have a Legion in Thompson. I kind of say I grew my adult life there. And the respect that was in that room, it was always there. And it wasn't a matter of just once in a blue moon, but it was always there. So I really want to thank you all for allowing me to bring greetings on behalf of Infinity Women's Secretariat. I'm going to leave you with this. There was a post that, which I thought was really fitting, and so I took a picture of it, and I now have it in my head. It was a post that the Ontario government had put. Don't know how it showed up in my feed, but it did. And so what they had put on there was, and I think this is what, for me, it should always be about with our veterans. The respect, to reflect, and to remember. And so those 3 R's are something I think for me that'll always stay in my head about our veterans, not only today or Monday, but every day. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Campbell. And I remember Phyllis, and I remember that ceremony, and she was just a sweet, sweet person. Not sure if this is appropriate, but I'll say it anyways. And there's a lot of Métis women here. If Métis women were encouraged in the past to serve on the front lines, maybe some of those wars would have been a little bit shorter, I think, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Our next speaker is someone who probably doesn't need any introduction, but he has been absolutely at the forefront of the fight his entire political career, which is quite a substantial career. He's fought for Métis veterans and for many years was shut down, but he never gave up. He just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. He has dedicated his heart and his soul to making sure our veterans know how much we care about them. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to the stage our president, David Chartrand.
Thank you very much for that. Okay. Say it again.
This is on behalf of Elder Veteran Joseph Pershane. He'd like me to present it to you.
Okay.
If Veteran Joseph Pershane could stand up. He would like to present it to you to thank you for your years and years of advocacy on behalf of veterans.
Thank you very much, Elder. Thank you very, very much. I will wear it proudly. Thank you very much. Thank you for that warm reception. Verna, thank you for your prayers. Again, Michif, our language is so important to continue to ensure its continued existence. And I think it's important that we always honor our gatherings by prayer. And all the dignitaries, thank you for all being here. It's such an honor to see you still coming out no matter what. I worry a lot. I worry, look at the room. Gray hairs everywhere. Some of us bald. Anyways, but when you actually look, I do worry. Now, I was so proud of Eden when you were reciting the message of so many powerful words that came out of Flanders Field and other places of remembrance. And veterans really didn't ask for much. And there's the word in the statement of what was being read, we will remember them. That's basically what our veterans told me. You know, I fought for over 25 years to get this country to use 7 alphabets. 7 little alphabets out of 26. And, you know, I couldn't believe the stories I heard from the veterans. I cried with them. I sat with them. I traveled with them. I went overseas with them. We prayed in graveyards across the great ocean. And to really reflect the thoughts of so many. One I speak on sometimes, I keep on remembering to talk about it, as we were walking, and as we were walking in the lands of Europe, it was actually a First Nation, because we went together, Métis First Nation, groups of veterans. He dropped to his knees. He started to cry. We didn't know what to do. We were all shocked. We were wondering what was going on. We stared at him, wondering, how can we help? What can we do? We just all stood softly there, keeping as quiet as we can, and let him do what he needed to do. The reason he was crying, he said, I think this is the area we were walking by, and we were forced to go to the front lines. We couldn't stop. We had to continue to march to the front. And he said there was two basically naked children here, begging for help, begging for mercy. And we couldn't stop to help them. I played God. I was involved in probably killing these two kids. That's what this guy suffered for the rest of his life. To see that, to come home to racism and discrimination. It is sad to see that, because, you know, the stories I heard of them, and for the smallest things they came to ask for, these are proud people. All veterans are proud people. Very proud. And let's not forget what this country promised every veteran, we call them today, every soldier, everyone in the military that went overseas. We will give you a head start upon your return. Economically, we'll restart your life. Everyone was promised that equality. Many, not to be discriminatory, First Nations received that, which I thank this country for doing it. Because these people were giving their lives, willing to give their lives for the freedom of people they didn't even know, in a country that was yet growing. Our country is very young, Canada. And when we look back and reflect the thoughts of what happened to our people, and the veterans, the stories they told me when they went to ask for little help, like eyeglasses, dental, any of the small things they felt they couldn't afford on their own, to see if that Department of Veterans Affairs would support them. He said, these young little punks sitting there asking me the question, do I think I deserve it? How many times did I go to the front line? Was I shot at? You know, did I get wounded? Do I believe that this government should be giving me free dentist or free eyewear? Did I deserve it? That was the questions that was posed to these veterans. They left those offices and never went back. Because our people are proud. Métis people are very proud people. We never, ever went back for ask help again. Because this country lied. They honestly lied. The promise they made to us was not there upon their return. We left with discrimination, and let me say this, upon unity amongst their colleagues of all races. They were together overseas. They worked together. I know there's some hostility still overseas, but mostly they worked together. They stood together, willing to die together, support each other. That's probably the country they wanted to see. That's the country they should have had when they left. When they came home, it was not the same country anymore. The same belief they had as their colleague next to them, to the right, to the left, was their brother. When they came home, it was no more. Back to the trap line, back to the north, go back to your fishing camps, go back to your bush. That's the message they received. Where's the economic head start that was promised of them? Some people in this country got very lucky. They got cattle, some got stores, some got an education. So the country did respond in some ways. But a lot of our veterans left this world being remembered as alcoholics, drunks. Why? They couldn't get the psychological nightmare out of their head. What they saw, the bloodshed, the horror, the scare, these were kids. These were children. Will's uncle was just a child. He went overseas. He lied about his age. He was 17 years old. He landed too far in Juno Beach, and he was in a camp and treated with such scary events nearly daily. He said the only reason he probably thinks he's alive because he spoke French. Because they probably thought he's a Frenchman. He spoke Michif. So they thought he was a Frenchman. But they were getting people out every day and shooting them so all the other prisoners would hear, to know you better be disciplined in here or else you could be the one choosing tomorrow morning. He lived through that. He died here in this country. And all of them that met, the years I've worked with them, the years I cried with them, and asked this country over and over, 25 years of my life and more. My wife helped me side by side, and I never give up. I never give up on something I believe in so strong. And I asked this country to do the right thing. They finally did with First Nations, probably about 12, 15 years before us. But I finally got the country to use 7 alphabets that our people wanted. The settlement of $20,000 was really the economic promise they said they would give them. Much late, 75 years later. But the 7 little alphabets they wanted more than anything, more than money, was to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's all they wanted. It took 75 years for this country to say those 7 little alphabets. Imagine that. Why in the hell didn't they say it in 1946, 47, 48, 49, 50? 7 little alphabets. I'm sorry for treating you the way I did, for fighting for me and doing what you did for us. Today, this world is an unsettled place right now. You know, a very unsettled place. As we look to Aiden, groups of his age, what's coming? We don't know. We don't know what's coming, but it could be scary times ahead of us. But we know one thing. There's not a doubt in my mind. If something happens in the world, you will see young Métis men and women coming to do their part to defend, and you'll see that from the First Nation too. Just like we've seen that brave man from Pasquoyag go to fight in Ukraine and die. I am very proud of that young man. I don't know him, but I'm proud of him. Very, very proud. You know, so when we look at our history, where do we fit in as Métis? The Fort Garry Horse, their banner hangs in the ledge. And let me remind people out there not to be negative. That's history. You can't change history. You could make it better in the future, but you can't change history. The first battle, the Fort Garry Horse, is against the Métis Batoche. Not in Europe, it was with us. And that's what they have as their first battle with anybody. It's against the Métis. But that's history. We've forgiven them. We move forward. But I'll tell you one thing you could be proud of. And I thank our country a little bit on that, but I especially thank Europe, of the beautiful, beautiful grave sites that are out there. Yes, our families live and are living in foreign soil underneath the ground somewhere, but they're impeccable. Not like here. Ours is not bad, but over there, impeccable. I walked in those graves from row to row, reading the names and watching and saying to myself, wow. I'm sure, because I believe in the afterworld, that they must be proud. They must be proud how they're treated over there, because they were sure as hell not treated that way here. I'm talking about my people. So when you start looking at the future, we ask ourselves, you know, we learned lessons. And that's what veterans always try to tell us. What they sacrificed for so it never happens again. Never. Yet, there's a war going on right now. Ukraine is under attack, and they're scared right now with the election in the United States. They're scared what's going to happen to them. And if the United States do what Trump has threatened, and to remove any further supports to Ukraine, there will be a slaughter. There will be a slaughter. We will watch it from Canada. There will be a slaughter out there. It'll begin, potentially, the beginning of World War III. I'm not saying this is scary. I'm saying this to be honest. That's what's out there right now. And it worries me as a leader. It scares me as a leader. Do we watch the Aidens of the future go overseas to fight? Do we watch our young boys and girls go overseas again to fight for some stupid, mad leaders that don't give a care about the world because they're so well protected? But so many will die because of that. So I think everybody in the military, I truly mean what I say. When I walk in Ottawa, I just came back from Ottawa. I apologize for my hobbling around here. My calf is really ripped up pretty bad. But I had a good chance to meet some leaders there. and I met Yvon-François Blanchette. And he actually will give him a poppy. He was on the national news yesterday wearing it. He said something to me that really touched me. He said, you know, when I went to Juneau and I toured, what really bothered me, he said, when I got back to Canada, there was nothing there remembering the Indigenous people for fighting overseas, which is true, 100% true. Because I fought with prime ministers and I fought with different ministers, that recognition of our people needs to be understood, because Europe does not know who we are as Métis, as who we are as a people, as a nation. So it took us over 5 years, that alone, that battle, to be able to put the Red River cart in front of Juno Beach Museum and to show the sash in there. But let me tell you that story quickly. When it was first done by this country to say they were correcting the history and the facts of history, to show the Indigenous peoples were volunteers and fighters to liberate a people they did not know. They hired a museum curator from Canada, I think from the Mohawks, to go and develop this respect for the Indigenous people of Canada. I was there, we fundraised ourselves, the Federation government. There was about 100 of us that went. And we took about 20, 30 veterans with us, World War II veterans. And we were so proud to go there. So was the First Nations. And we went, large crowd, pride beaming everybody, waiting for this museum that's going to recognize the liberation that was given to them by people that sacrificed their lives and people that paid the price for it. There was a long sash, a ribbon, that was going to be cut. I was standing there with Minister Chuck Strahl, who's now passed, and I was standing there with him. Veterans were like kids, swear. I saw it in my own eyes. They were just excited, just like children and going into a fair, to walk in to see the respect that was going to be given to them. When the ribbon was cut, they rushed in there. You can see the tears of our people. Not one damn thing was there for us. Not one. Not a sash, not a fiddle, nothing. All about the Mohawk. And Canada said they were celebrating everybody, which was not true. It took us another 5 years to get the Red River cart there and the sash. 10 years to recognize our people. So people in the military hopefully understand our struggles, our pain, hardship, because it does hurt. So be proud of who you are. Be proud of our veterans, because they gave what most people today in society may not want to give their lives. I think the RCMP, I got criticized for that, because they got themselves in a lot of mischief sometimes, but they risk their lives every day. Get up in the morning, go to work. You never know if you're coming home. The world has changed so much. And I take all of the other people from different groups that do their job to help peace in the world and help peace at home. So I encourage you to always remember this. Tell your children about November 8th. Tell your children about November 11th, that they never forget. Because maybe not long away, there'll be a different war that will come. We can't let that happen. We can't risk our innocent children to be killed for somebody else's madness. So be proud. It's a great day. Trust me, it's a great day. Even though you feel the pain, you can feel it from me. I'm a very passionate man when I fight for something. And for at the end of the day, I want to just say this very loud and clear. It's a proud day for all of us to know full well there's so many brave men and women in this country, a young country called Canada. We're very young, but we're willing, and we're the most fierce fighters when you get us in the battleground. That's why they remember us. That's why World War I really defined us as a country. So when you look at it now, be proud. In Ottawa, when I walk, in any place I see a veteran uniform, if I have the chance, I'll go shake their hand. And I don't know them, but I just want to say thank you. Because once they put their name on that piece of paper, always remember this. Don't just think about the ones that actually died. Of course, we got to pray and remember them. But the ones, once you sign your name on that piece of paper, you're willing to give up your life. The military has you now, and yet it means you're willing to go and give your life to die for freedom of others. So be proud of veterans at all times, show your respect, and let us always remember them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, President Chartrand. And I don't know any other way, any other person that could describe the ordeal the way he does, to take his friendships and his understandings with all the veterans that he's known over the years, many who are not with us anymore, and to provide us with that depth of understanding of our pride and of our pain. We are now going to do the laying of wreaths, and I'd like to ask each guest who has brought a wreath to head to the back of the room. Our staff will guide you in the next portion of the ceremony. When everyone's ready at the back there, I'll just get a signal because I'll announce the order as it comes through. Ready? First, on behalf of the Red River Métis Veterans Department, our lovely Janet Stevenson. On behalf of the Winnipeg Region, Minister Joanne Remillard. On behalf of the Southwest Region, Minister John Fleury. On behalf of Infinity Women's Secretariat, Minister Anita Campbell. On behalf of the PAW Region, Vice President Judy Mayer. On behalf of Veterans Affairs Canada, Clarista Senarini. On behalf of Premier Wab Canoe and the province of Manitoba, MLA for St. Boniface, Robert Loisel. On behalf of Interim Leader of the Opposition, Wayne Owasco, MLA for Portage La Prairie, Jeff Bariza. On behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces, Master Warrant Officer Patricia Bell. On behalf of CAF 17 Wing, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Dubrow. On behalf of the City of Portage La Prairie, Her Worship Sherilyn Knox. From the RCMP Detachment, the Commander for Portage La Prairie, Staff Sergeant Zane Zimaniak. From the Portage La Prairie Legion, Branch Number 65, President Lynn Payette. From the Royal Canadian Legion, Manitoba and Northwest Ontario Provincial Command, Vice President Gail Conrad Davey. Tom Larkin, retired RCMP. Veteran Cliff Lafreniere. From the Hong Kong Veterans Commemorative Association, Angeline Delorme Stoico. From the MMF Southwest Region St. Eustache Local, Phil Bowden. From the Southeast Region, Vice President Denise Thomas. And on behalf of our Red River Métis government, our President, David Chartrand. As we reach the conclusion of this year's Indigenous Veterans Day ceremony, I'd like to sincerely thank everyone for taking the time to gather here in the Métis homeland and celebrate our Red River Métis veterans, active serving members, and their families. Thank you everyone for your kind words about our veterans, for laying your wreaths in their honor. Thank you to Elder Verna, Melissa, John, and our Métis youth, Aiden, Alec, and Alexina for helping us celebrate our veterans and our Métis culture. Thank you to the Portage la Prairie Legion once again for welcoming us into your beautiful space and for your collaboration to make this Indigenous Veterans Day so special. A tremendous thank you to our Red River Métis Veterans Department and supporting MMF staff for coordinating this event and for the hard work you do all year round to support our veterans and their families. And finally, to all our Indigenous and non-Indigenous veterans, both here and across the country, thank you. Thank you for your endless dedication, sacrifice, and bravery to keep our country and our Red River Métis homeland safe. Your service has given every one of us and future generations the freedom to live our peaceful lives. We invite you all to join us after the ceremony for refreshments and entertainment. I will now welcome Melissa and John back to the stage to play God Save the King, which will be followed by the exit to conclude today's ceremony. Please stand if you can. And now the departure of the color party.
Color party, attention! Color party will move to the right in single file. Right, turn. Color party, by the center. Right, march, and wheel.
Thank you all. You can be seated or you can proceed downstairs to where the reception is. We're going to have some more entertainment down there, including the Sharp Sisters, the Métis Prairie Steppers, and of course,